वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिनित नामने नमः आचार्य पदाय निताय कृपा प्रदायने गौरकथा दामदा नगर राम तारने Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to our weekly Bhagavad Gita class. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to purify myself, to serve all of you with Srimad Bhagavatam. And I know I end up saying this every time, but I'm extremely underprepared this time and little more dependent than other times on your all of your mercy, so that I'm able to serve all of you offenselessly and speak something of substance that inspires, by Krishna's mercy, become an instrument to inspire all of us to go closer to him. So I sincerely beg all of your blessings and prayers. Great. So today we'll be discussing from the fifth canto, eighth chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So Srimad Bhagavatam, as we know, is non-different from the Supreme Lord. And the best way to serve Srimad Bhagavatam is by hearing him, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam itself describes that the best way to serve Bhagavatam is to hear Bhagavatam. And when we hear Bhagavatam, Krishna becomes tightly bound in our consciousness, right? Sada sevya Srimad Bhagavati Kata Yasya Shravana Matrena Hari Chittam Samashret. So Bhagavatam says that we should serve it all the time. Sada Sevya. Constantly we should serve. And the way to serve is Srimad Bhagavati Kata Yasya Shravana Matrena, hearing. And just by mere hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, Hari Chittam Sama Ashrayat. Ashra means shelter, and Sama Ashra means complete shelter, absolutely complete shelter. Lord Hari takes in our chitta, in our consciousness. Right. So this is a very nice way to bind the Lord in our consciousness, in our heart, by merely by hearing. Very very simple process that we can follow in Kali Yuga. And this Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna, right? So today we are going to be discussing the pastime of Bharat Maharaj. We'll continue the discussion of Bharat Maharaj, and most of us in this gathering, we might think that Bharat Maharaj pastime is something I've heard so many times. I know this pastime, I know the storyline, I know all the lessons probably that can be derived from Bharat Maharaj pastime. This might be the default mindset that might come very naturally to all of us. But that is where, if we can just remind ourselves that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Krishna Tulya Bhagavat Vibhu Sarva Shray Prati Shloke Prati Akshare Nana Arthakai. He says that Krishna Tulya Bhagavat. Bhagavatam is non-different from Krishna. It is exactly like Krishna. Krishna has different limbs of in his body, in his personality. Bhagavatam has different cantos, which are compared to different limbs of the Lord, right? So it is non-different from Krishna himself. And Prati shloke, prati akshare, nana arthake. Forget about one pastime. Every verse, every letter, every syllable of Srimad Bhagavatam has so many rich, deep meanings, diverse meanings. And every time we encounter, any portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam, any section of Srimad Bhagavatam, look at it from any point of view, there's always very new learnings that we can derive from Srimad Bhagavatam, because studying Srimad Bhagavatam is a very dynamic aspect. Because Bhagavatam, because it is a person, Krishna, Bhagavatam can talk to us at different times differently, right? Based on our state of consciousness, where we are in our spiritual life, what our current state is, what our realizations are, based on all of these factors, every time we encounter Bhagavatam, there are different lessons that might, hit us, that might touch our heart, right? So with that mindset, if we can just be a little more open and reciprocative, and hope that maybe today Krishna reveals some other new lesson to us, or just reminds a new lesson that we already knew, but it just resonates more with us right now. So that Krishna will surely ensure that it happens. So that's the request that I have, that let us all be a little more reciprocative and open uh, to deriving more learnings from the same pastime that we've heard so many times, right? So before we go into 5.8, fifth canto 8 chapter, a quick brief summary of where we are in this pastime, Bharat Maharaj pastime, because this started in the previous chapter itself. Sukadev Goswami started explaining this pastime. So as we know, it starts with Priyavrat Maharaj, who had Priyavrat Maharaj's eldest son was Agnidhara, his eldest son was Nabi, his eldest son was Rishabhadev, who had 100 sons. Out of them, 9 became the Navayogendras, exalted Mahabhagavatas, and the rest of them, Rishabhadev told that, you please follow the footsteps of my eldest son. And Rishabhadev's eldest son was Bharat Maharaj. And Srimad Bhagavatam, it beautifully describes 3 lifetimes of the same personality, Bharat Maharaj, right? One was the King Bharat, then it was the dear Bharat, and then it is Jada Bharat. The third life is Jada Bharat. So it's like 3 lives in, it describes of one personality. And in the last chapter, 5.7, Sukadev Goswami begins describing the glorious life of King Bharat, right? The eldest son of Rishabhadev. So this was titled Activities of King Bharat. And in this chapter 5.7, we saw how Bharat Maharaj was a perfect Rajarishi, how, in spite of being a king, he had developed the mood of renunciation, right? And he married Panchajani and had 5 sons from her. And this whole place that we are situated in, previously this was called Ajanaba Varsha, but because of how expertly and beautifully he ruled, and how much progress he was able to make during his rule, this place got the name as Bharatavarsha, from Bharat Maharaj himself, right? So he ruled all the citizens like a loving father, and while executing all his kingly duties, and uh, while he was being a perfect son, perfect husband, perfect king, perfect, caretaker, and all of these things, he continued to remain extremely devoted to Vasudeva, to the Supreme Lord. In all the activities that he performed, even ritualistic activities, he performed them with a mood of loving devotional service to the Lord, right? And he did this for a very long period of time. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.7, it actually mentions that he did this for uh, 1000, years, which is actually 10 million or 1 crore years. Bharat Maharaj ruled in such an exemplary way. But after then, when the right time came, he immediately left all the royal opulence. He left his loving family. He left all the fame that he had earned, all the wealth, his loving, citizens, everything he left. He left all of them, and he just walked into the forest, just like, when a child, uh, they go to the ocean or to the beach, and they make their sand castles in the morning, and then when the parents say, okay, it's time, let's go back, the child is not attached to that house or the castle they built. They just kick it away, or the water washes it, and they go back to the house, right? Or just like a man a person passes stool or urine and renounces that stool or urine wherever they pass and just walk away with disgust. Almost similar to that, Bharat Maharaj instantaneously, organically, he just gave away everything material connected to him, and he walked to the forest, to the Pulaha ashram. Then we heard about the glory of this place, Pulaha ashram. This was on the banks of Gandaki river, and Gandaki river, as we know, is filled with Shaligram Shilas, right? So that is Gandaki river. In that, almost every stone is like Shaligram Shila within that river. So that's a very, very pure place and very powerful abode, right? If you have to realize how powerful that place is, Pulha Ashram and Gandaki river and the banks, that surroundings, how devotionally potent that place is, if you have to understand, then we should know that in the Puranas, it is mentioned, there is a lot of glories mentioned of worshipping one Shaligrama Shila, right? For example, the Puranas, it mentions Shaligrama Shila Sparsham Ye Kurvanti Dine Dine Vanchanti Kara Samsparsham Tesham Deva Savasava. So it mentions that Shaligrama Shila Sparsham, that personality who worships a Shaligrama Shila every day by touching the Shaligrama Shila, by offering Abhishekam to the Shaligrama Shila and all of that, Ye Kurvanti Dine Dine. That person who does this worship to the Shila, which is non-different from Mahavishnu. And that Shaligrama Shila doesn't even need to be installed. It is, Sakshat Mahavishnu himself, non-different from him. Like a deity, which is there, breathing the deity of sorts. So that deity, Shaligram Shila, one who worships, Vanchanti. Vanchanti means desire. And Vanchanti, Kara Samsparsham. Kara means the hand, and Samsparsham means to hold the hand, to feel, to touch the hand. And who has this desire to touch the hand? Tesham Deva Savasava. It is mentioned that all the Devi Devatas, they fight with each other to get one opportunity to hold the hands of that sadhaka or that jiva who is worshipping Shaligrama Shila on a daily basis. Right. So this is the glories of worshipping one Shaligrama Shila. Then we can only imagine what would be the glories of a place which is the abode of unlimited Shaligrama Shilas. And there, if somebody is performing loving devotional service in a mood of bhakti, then we can only imagine how potent that place would be, right? And this is what Srimad Bhagavatam says as well in this chapter, that Bharat Maharaj went there and he was completely absorbed in his heart, in loving remembrance of the Lord, and he was actually able to see the Lord as well in his absorption, in his meditation, right? And having experienced the Lord and having progressed so much in his journey of bhakti, in his having reached that advanced stage of bhava, which is the eighth stage of bhakti, just one stage below prema, Bharat Maharaj also exhibited symptoms of perfection, right? Like in his absorption, he had loving tears, he had pure emotions and sentiments for the Lord. So he reached that bhava stage, right? And in this way, he was leading an ideal retired life in Pula Ashram, a renounced life, right? Not even vanaprastha, it was complete renunciation that Bharat Maharaj had undertaken, right? So from that serene, wonderful, ideal atmosphere, now we transition to 5.8, which is titled "Description of the Character of Bharat Maharaj." Right. So from the ideal, we now transition to the more relatable aspect of Bharat Maharaj's life, which all of us, especially me, can relate. This is uh, the insecurity part, the fall down part, the mistakes part that we all tend to do. The first part is very difficult to relate for us of Bharat Maharaj's life. Being ideal in everything he does, being perfectly renounced, having pure love for the Lord, being fully absorbed in the Lord, all of that seems like any other no Mahabhagavat. Okay, maybe one day we aspire to get there, but not very relatable. But this part of Bharat Maharaj's life, all of us, especially me, I can relate to every word of this chapter, right? Because uh, I go through this on a day-to-day basis. Most of us in the conditioned state of life, we go through this very frequently, and that is where this chapter becomes very relatable to all of us, and the lessons that we derive from this chapter can help us to uh, can help us to apply a lot more in our lives as well, right? So in this chapter 5.8, Sukadev Goswami, he starts by explaining how Bharat Maharaj was sitting in the Pulaha ashram. He finished all his morning oblations, all his morning duties are finished. He sat down, he started chanting his mantras, beginning with the Omkara, and he's absorbed in chanting of his mantras opposite Gandaki river. And just then, in front of Bharat Maharaj, something very strange happens very quickly, right? He first sees that a pregnant female deer, a female deer is called a doe. So a pregnant female deer comes there on to the river, and this deer, it uh, drinks water from the Gandaki river, the fresh water. And this deer is experiencing a lot of happiness and satisfaction by drinking that water. But it had not drank the water to its full satisfaction. It was still drinking the water. Just then, it heard the loud roar of a lion. And when the roar of a lion is heard in the jungle, all the animals scatter around, right? They run away from there. So this deer heard the roar of a lion, and the deer by default is very, very scared. It's always very insecure and scared that which animal will come and they'll chase the deer and they'll kill and eat the deer. So wolves and lions and tigers and all of that, the deer is very scared. So when it heard the roar of a lion from such close quarters, the deer got extremely panicked, didn't know what to do, and the deer cannot swim. But the deer, what it did is it tried to jump across the Gandaki river. But when it jumped, because it was carrying it, that female deer had a miscarriage, and the baby deer fell down into the Gandaki river. And the deer leapt across to the other side, but the deer was separated from its herd and the other deers, and seeing the baby deer just getting swept away in Gandaki river helplessly and having the pain of a miscarriage and a labor, and with tears in its eyes, the mother deer looking at the baby helplessly in the water, the mother deer left her life, left her body, right? Now this happened in front of the eyes of Bharat Maharaj. He's sitting there, everything was very serene, he was ready to be fully absorbed again, and now he's seeing a mother female deer lifeless lying on the other side, and a baby deer helpless, completely without any shelter, getting swept away in the Gandaki river, right? So then Bharat Maharaj, out of pure, genuine, selfless compassion, Bharat Maharaj got up from his meditation. He ran towards the baby deer. He picked it up, saved it from the water first, and then he brought it back to his ashram. And then he fed it soft grass and took care of the baby deer. And then he thought, now if he just leaves the baby deer go, there's no protection, no shelter for this baby deer. And the animals, they like the baby deers even more than the adult deers, because baby deer's flesh is very tender and very juicy and very nice, right? So it's even more of a threat, and this deer cannot protect itself. It's a small baby, and it doesn't have his mother to protect. She just passed away at birth. So Bharat Maharaj thought, okay, this is a shelterless jiva who has accepted my shelter, who has surrendered to me, who has come to me by the supreme providence, by the will of the supreme Lord. This happened in front of my eyes. It could have happened anywhere. So let me not be so selfish that I only think about my spiritual life, my sadhana, my Krishna consciousness. Let me go out of my way and take care of this deer. So that's how it started, with a very noble cause, the very noble mindset and intent. Bharat Maharaj, he started taking care of the deer. But because that deer was so obedient, so completely surrendered to Bharat Maharaj, slowly over time, Bharat Maharaj started doing everything with the deer. He became fully attached to the deer. Bharat Maharaj would lie down with it, he would eat with it, he would walk with it, he would take bath with it. Where if he would go to the forest to get some wood or to get some grass, he would take the deer also along with him, out of fear that if the deer is back in the ashram, then some animal might come and eat the deer. Right. So Bharat Maharaj started spending all his time with the deer. When Bharat Maharaj was awake and he was sitting, he would place the deer on his lap whenever he would do his meditation or any other ritual, any other yajna he would do. And when Bharat Maharaj was sleeping, he would place the deer on his chest, the baby deer on his chest, right? So in this way, the attachment had become so strong that without Bharat Maharaj realizing initially, it started obstructing his devotional service. While Bharat Maharaj was doing his rituals, his yajna, and all of that, the deer would come there, and the deer would contaminate all the ingredients and that yajna by either by licking or by passing stool, urine, and all of that. And Bharat Maharaj would get angry, and he would push the deer away, and he would lovingly chastise the deer. You know, he would ask it to go away, and that deer obediently would go, put its head down, silently go to the corner of the ashram and sit down without making a noise. And then Bharat Maharaj would try to focus on the ritual, but then he would look at the deer and how cute this baby deer is, so obediently just sitting there sulking. And then Bharat Maharaj would leave his rituals in the middle. He would get up and go to the deer. And then the whole Man Banghan Leela would happen, where Bharat Maharaj would pacify the deer, take it closer, lovingly take care, right? So, and in other times when he's doing his ritual, if he's not able to see the deer for a while in front of his eyes, he would get so agitated, so disturbed that he would leave his rituals midway and he would go out and see if the deer is fine, if it, if it's still in the ashram or not, right? So this became so intense that although initially Bharat Maharaj did not realize that his attachment to the deer is obstructing his sadhana, his devotional service, but at one point he got to know, he realized that my attachment to the deer is stopping my sadhana. This is in the ninth shloka of the eighth chapter of fifth canto, where Bharat Maharaj, he says that I am fully aware that this deer has disturbed my spiritual life, but still, he says, caring for the deer seems even more important than my sadhana. Caring for the deer is higher priority than my spiritual life or my sadhana or my love for the Lord. Right? That is how Bharat Maharaj started feeling. And again, like I said, all of these seem very relatable. We go through phases in our life where we feel certain aspects of our material life is far more important than our material life, whether it is our job, our studies, some phase of our life where we need to take care of family, whatever it is. We tend to think that that temporary phase, our responsibility in that temporary phase is so important that it is okay if our spiritual life is disturbed, because this is so important and we need to take care of it, right? So that is what Bharat Maharaj felt. But the only difference is that here Bharat Maharaj had achieved everything, he had renounced everything, he was in the stage of bhava, and from there he has reached a stage where, because of attachment to not even his own family members or his children, but to a baby deer, he got so attached that he compromised on his devotional service willingly, knowingly, right? And this is where the purports of Srila Prabhupada in this chapter are very, very instructive. They're very short, crisp, and very instructive. Prabhupada says that no matter what stage of our Krishna conscious journey we are, even if we are so called senior devotees or exalted or even sannyasis for that matter, Bharat Maharaj's pastime is a very careful reminder for us to be cautious in executing our spiritual duties and to continuously observe our responsibilities like chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following the regulative principles, following our daily sadhana. To do this consistently, regularly, no matter what stage of advancement we have achieved in Krishna consciousness, is very, very important. And Prabhupada, he says that if we neglect doing this, eventually we will fall down. This is a very strong statement that Prabhupada makes, that these might seem simple things for us, sadhana, regulative principles, and all of that. And after a time, when we keep doing this for years together, we might feel now we are invincible. This comes naturally to us. We can do this anyway. But if we are not careful in our intent, Krishna pays attention to our intention as well. So in our intent and in our practice, if we are not careful, Prabhupada is warning that this pastime of Bharat Maharaj shows us that we might eventually fall down. We will fall down, is what Prabhupada is warning us, right? So here, a very important, another important lesson that Prabhupada teaches us in his purport is that a real compassion towards a jiva is uplifting the other jiva's spiritual consciousness. That is how we can express compassion. This comes in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita as well, where Krishna scolds Arjuna for having pity on the Kauravas and for feeling weak to fight with the Kauravas. That is where Krishna tells Arjuna that, okay, you might be showing compassion, but your compassion is misplaced because it is not on the soul, permanent, which is the eternal soul, but it is on the temporary body, changing body. Right now they are in this body, after that it will change. Right? And then Prabhupada in that purport, he says that having compassion on only on the bodily platform, on the bodily platform, it's necessary. Bharat Maharaj taking care of the deer, feeding it, protecting it is okay. It's fair to a certain extent, right? Uh, but if the compassion is only on the bodily platform, then what happens is, Prabhupada says, it's like if we see a person is drowning, then we just protect the dress of that person. We bring out the dress of the person, but we let the person drown, right? So our body is like a dress. And if somebody is caring only for the body and not in completely neglecting the soul and only taking care of bodily comforts and all of that, that is actually going to lead to our downfall. Both the person who's showing compassion and the person who's receiving that compassion will eventually fall down, because there is no spiritual substance in that exchange of loving compassion, right? So overall, the broader question that we can all that this pastime tells us is that if a devotee at the stage of bhava, just at the footstep of prema, if that devotee can fall down, that too because of attachment of a baby deer, then what about all of us, right? How much more attentive we need to be. We are, at least I'm like a conditioned soul who finds it hard to just to stay awake while chanting, while hearing, and our sadhana and all of that, forget about experiencing ecstatic symptoms. Then how much more alert we need to be in our spiritual practice as well, right? So this happened to Bharat Maharaj, extremely attached. Then one day the deer just left the ashram, and in the morning Bharat Maharaj got up, he couldn't see the deer. He became extremely agitated and he lamented like a madman. And he thought that he started lamenting. This is very similar to how you would see Lord Ram lamenting for Mother Sita when she got taken away by Ravan in the Aranya Kand of Ramayana, right? And the Kishkinda Kand. This is very similar to that, right? Bharat Maharaj is thinking it is because of my negligence that the deer, got into great trouble. The deer is very innocent. It took complete shelter of me, and I failed to give shelter, right? And then he started having sentimental imaginations. Sometimes mothers or worried parents, they have these sort of imaginations when they don't see their children, right? So Bharat Maharaj was thinking, I think a dog came, hungry dog came and ate my deer, or maybe lion, a wolf, a tiger came and it would have eaten the deer. There is no chance that that deer was so nice. No chance that animals would have left it. They would have eaten it. My deer would have cried out my name and died. Trying to find me and calling out to me for protection. Helplessly, my deer would have died. So many things he started assuming. Then he collapsed there and he was looking at the places where the deer used to sit. Then the oblations, all the paraphernalia that the deer used to come and lick, and all of that he's remembering, he's seeing and remembering in a very loving, fond way. And he's feeling great pain, great misery he's experiencing. Then he comes out of his ashram searching for the deer, and there he sees the deer's footprints outside his ashram. And then Bharat Maharaj, he's praying that, oh, my penances, all my devotional service is absolutely waste. It is useless compared to the penances that were done by Mother Earth. Mother Earth is so glorious that on Mother Earth, the footprints of my baby deer is there. And it's not there with me. The deer is not with me, but the footprints are there with this Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is so glorious. Her penances are so perfect. That is the extent to which Bharat Maharaj was glorifying and so attached to the deer, right? And following that footsteps, he lamenting for the deer, he went around searching everywhere in the forest. Eventually, in that unbearable separation, Bharat Maharaj collapsed. He was about to give up his body, just then the deer came there. and seeing the deer sitting obediently next to him, like a son sits next to a departing father, giving care and love and all of that. The deer was sitting very protectively just next to Bharat Maharaj and looking at the deer with satisfaction and happiness that the deer is safe and all his worries were not true. Looking at the deer in love, he left his body. And as we know, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains the signs of transmigration of soul. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tvajate ante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever is our state of consciousness when we give up our body, that is the same nature, same body that we attain in our next life. Because he was fully absorbed in the body of this deer, he got a deer form, right? But it was not like any other transmigration. The specialty in this case was that he still remembered his past life. And in the last two, three shlokas of this chapter, 29, 30, and 31 verses of this chapter, it is mentioned that Bharat Maharaj lamented for his mistake in the body of a deer. He realized his mistake. Then, from the very birth in the body of a deer, he gave up the mother deer, he gave up the association of other deers. He walked all the way to Pulaha ashram where he was there before. He only stayed outside the ashram where all the sages were performing devotional service. He ate only dried leaves. He was very careful not to perform such mistakes of getting attached ever again. And he eventually got liberated from the body of a deer. It's the last shloka of this chapter that he got liberated from the body of this deer, right? So, again, many lessons for us to learn, right? One obviously is that we should be very, very careful of uh, how Maya can attack us, right? Uh, in this world, there are so many attachments that we can develop over time. Attachment to people, attachment to things, so many things. Wherever we spend some more time or some more energy, resources, it's very natural for us to get attached, right? And in this case, we saw Bharat Maharaj was so attached to the deer. Now the question is, are all attachments bad in this material world? And the answer is no. Not all attachments are bad. Only those attachments which are bereft of Krishna in the center. There is no element of Lord in the center. That attachment is bad, right? For example, just before it or after this, in the sixth canto, we will see Ajamila was extremely attached to his son, youngest son, Narayana, right? But it is because of that attachment to his youngest son that Ajamila got saved from unlimited suffering in the hellish planets, and he got another chance. He got a second chance. So that attachment actually in a way uplifted Ajamila purely because the attachment to the person he had happens to have the name of the Lord. That's all. No other thing. But because there was some connection with the Lord through the holy name, he got uplifted. Similarly, in the fourth canto, we see Dhruva Maharaj. He was extremely attached to his mother, so much that when Nanda and Sananda came and with the Pushpaka Viman, with the Vaikunta Viman, to take him back to the spiritual world, Dhruva Maharaj said, "No, unless you bring my mother, I won't come." Right? Dhruva Maharaj didn't say, "Okay, now I'm an elevated, exalted Mahabhagavat. I'm detached from the bodily conception of life. In this lifetime, she is my mother. In some other lifetime, somebody else is my mother. I don't worry about such material relationships." He didn't say that. He said, "I will refuse Vaikunta. I will reject it if my mother will not come with me." Right? And then Nanda and Sananda, they showed him the Jai Vijay, the Vishnu Dutas, they showed him that, your mother is already going to the spiritual world and another plane even before you, right? So don't worry, come. And then Dhruva Maharaj went. And because of his attachment to his mother, Dhruva Maharaj got perfected in his life because his mother, Suniti, she gave him the right guidance to go closer to the Lord. Right? Because that attachment had Krishna in the center, they were able to uplift, right? Yudhishthir Maharaj as well. He was the only person who walked through the foothills of Swargarohini and finally reached. He saw Yamaraj, and when he was about to go back to his eternal place, he tells the Yamaraj that I'm not willing to come back unless my brothers and Draupadi comes with me, who have left their body behind. Right. So again, he might think that these are all material relationships. Why should I care for them? But again and again, we see in the Shastras that it is not that all forms of attachment or bodily attachments are rejected. It is just that when an attachment helps us to take takes us closer to the Lord, that attachment is glorified. And that sort of attachment becomes us based on our spiritual life, based on the spirit soul. And because the soul is eternal, that relationship also becomes eternal, right? So that attachment is glorified, but the attachment on the bodily platform is very, very risky. And Bhagavatam repeatedly warns us, don't have such attachment, like the attachment that Ajamila had to the prostitute, the attachment that Puranjana had to Puranjani, the attachment that in the ninth canto we'll see King Pururava, he has severe attachment to Urvashi, right? So all of these attachments, we see that there are people who are giving their time, energy, resources, and everything, but they don't get any reciprocation. They lack that reciprocation, and eventually they fall down in their life, right? So we should realize that Krishna is the person who has that complete intention and capacity to reciprocate with love to us, right? So we should be careful there. Anyway, we'll talk about that part in a bit as well, like where should our focus and our energy be. But another lesson, very famous lesson that we can learn from Bharat Maharaj is that one of the reasons why Bharat Maharaj fell down from that stage of bhava was lack of devotee association, right? Because if he was surrounded by devotees, they would have reminded him, seniors would have guided him that your priorities are changing. Please ensure that this is the right priority. And they would have just course corrected him. But that did not happen, right? So Vaishnava Sangha is very, very important, not just for advancement of our spiritual life, but for the protection and survival of our bhakti as well. Vaishnava Sangha is extremely important. It's non-negotiable. And if we say that, okay, Haridas Thakur was also sitting alone in a cave and chanting without any association. But when Maya came to Haridas Thakur in the form of that beautiful prostitute, Haridas Thakur not just drove Maya away, not just protected himself by getting lured into Maya's trap, but converted Maya also into a devotee. Right. So how did this happen? But there as well, one is obviously Haridas Thakur is a very empowered, pure devotee. But even then, 22 hours of his day, Haridas Thakur used to chant, but the remaining 2 hours, he used to associate with devotees. He used to preach. His preaching was so powerful and so potent that others were getting envious of his preaching. He would associate with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly and all his associates, Advaita Acharya, Sanatan Goswami, and so many other Goswamis and associates of Mahaprabhu. He used to take their association, hear from them, speak to them. He would associate with the devotees very nicely. And those 2 hours would protect him in the remaining 22 hours of his sadhana as well. Haridas Thakur also realized this. So it was not that he just completely cut off from everybody and went to a cave and he did his sadhana, right? So that way we see that, this is a very important lesson. These are some of the important lessons. But then a question comes to all our mind. Bharat Maharaj is a great elevated devotee in the stage of bhava. How heartless can Krishna be that he directly takes this principle of yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, this philosophy of transmigration that is applicable to materialistic people in this world in general. He takes that principle and directly applies it as it is to a pure Mahabhagavat devotee like Bharat Maharaj. How is this possible? It is very, very unfair. The one small mistake and all the devotional service he has done for so long so beautifully, how can Krishna forget all of that? And if that is how Krishna is, then what hope do we have for all of us in our loving devotional service to the Lord, right? There's no hope because we keep falling down every other day, right? So this is where we need to realize that Bharat Maharaj's fall down is very, very special, and it is not a fall down by any means, right? Externally, materially, it is a fall down where from a human body you got it your body, but actually it is not a fall down, right? So here in this case it might seem that he got the reactions of his past deeds, he got the reactions of his karma, but to even think that a Vaishnava, even though that Vaishnava might be a sadhaka, is suffering because of reactions of his or her past deeds is a Vaishnava parad. The Devi Devatas thought in this way about Gajendra, but when they saw the Supreme Lord descending, then they realized that they committed Vaishnava Parad. And along with the Lord, all the Devi Devatas come as well. They offer obeisances to the Lord and they seek forgiveness from Gajendra for having this mentality that Gajendra was suffering because of his past misdeeds. right? So this is a very offensive mentality to have, that even a sadhaka is suffering because of karma, because externally it looks like this is prarabdha karma, right? In Bharat Maharaj's case, he was attached, he made a mistake, so he fell down, right? But prarabdha karma, in karma there are different categories: sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, bija, kuta, and all of that. Prarabdha karma is like the unavoidable karma which we have to endure, we have to go through. But even in that prarabdha karma, there are two types: auspicious prarabdha karma, inauspicious prarabdha karma. Inauspicious prarabdha karma is like reactions to all the sinful activities that we have committed in the past, and we are just undergoing that sinful activities. And the only purpose of undergoing that sinful reaction is to be free from the karma we have done in the past. That's all, no other purpose. And in the course of undergoing those reactions, we end up committing more and more karmas, accumulate more karmas, and line up unlimited suffering, cycle of suffering for ourselves. That is inauspicious prarabdha karma. But then there is auspicious prarabdha karma, where the Supreme Lord intervenes in the life of a sadhaka, in the life of a devotee, and chooses what portion of prarabdha karma should the devotee undergo. And he allows only that karma to happen to the devotee, which will purify that karma and take purify that sadhaka, and take that sadhaka closer to the Lord. So here also the devotee or the sadhaka might be undergoing prarabdha karma, but here there is a purpose. By undergoing that karma, they are actually going closer to the Lord. And that is exactly what we see with Bharat Maharaj. Although his body changed from a human body to a deer, his consciousness elevated. And Bhagavatam describes us that the deer Bharat was a far more elevated devotee than the king Bharat. And eventually, in the next chapter, we'll see Jada Bharat is even more elevated than the dear Bharat, right? In their life, in their journey, in their Krishna consciousness. So externally, it might seem that it's a downfall, and then maybe he got a life body of a Brahmana, but there also he was acting like a madman, like a dumb man. He was acting as Jada Bharat. So it's complete downfall, right? But actually, in terms of spiritual consciousness, it is supreme elevation that is happening. His absorption, his love for the Lord is getting more and more and more intense with every passing day, that he's enduring this karma that the Supreme Lord is personally orchestrating. Karmana Daiva Netrena, right? So under the divine supervision of the Lord, Bharat Maharaj is actually progressing, right? So this is where, and in the purport of this chapter, Prabhupada, he says that there is a special concession given to a devotee. And Prabhupada says that even if a devotee attains a non human body, by the Lord's grace, he advances further in bhakti, whether by remembering his past life or by natural causes. A devotee will advance in bhakti, even if he has a non human body, even if for whatever reason we fall down, but we have done some devotional service, it will not go in vain. There is no loss in the path of devotional service. Swalpamasya apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Right? Bharat Maharaj, whatever state he left his human body, before committing the mistake of being attached to the deer, he continued from that same stage in the body of a deer. He didn't have to go back to square one. Right? So this is how we see that in Krishna consciousness, there is no loss, whatever endeavor we are taking. And this is extremely hope giving for all of us as sadhakas, right? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, many acharyas, they say that different shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita are the most important shloka for all of us. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says there is one shloka of Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is telling everybody to go out on the streets with kartal and mridanga and loudly proclaim to the whole world. And this shloka comes in 9.31 and 9.30 of Bhagavad Gita, right? Where Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigachati kaunteya pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashyati. Right? That he's saying that my devotees will never perish. But just one verse before this, is Krishna telling this? In what context is Krishna telling this shloka? One verse before this is Krishna says, "Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananyabhak sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha." So he says, "Api chet suduracharo." If a devotee performs an abominable mistake, very very bad mistake, which even the law of this nature or law of this land or the government that also will not forgive that person. It is so horrible. Forget about being a devotee. Even from a human stand of point, it is very bad if a devotee makes a mistake like that. But bhajate mam ananya bak. His bhajan is continuing. Ananya, it is not stopping. Then sadhur eva samantavya. Such a person should be continued to be treated as a sadhu, despite the mistake that the person is doing. Right? Samyak vyavasito hi saha. And why should he be continued to be perceived as a sadhu? That is the next sloka. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Kshipram is like the guilt. The Paramatma in his heart will speak out to that Jiva in the form of guilt, and that devotee will transform into a Dharmatma. He will come back to the right path very, very soon. Right? And then Krishna makes this promise that Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. My devotees will never perish. And this is the only shloka in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna does not say it. In all other places, Krishna says, this is my opinion. This is my verdict. I am proclaiming this. But this is the only words where Krishna says, Kaunteya Pratijanehi. O Arjuna, people might misunderstand me. People might think that this Krishna is a cheater. He will say something, he will do something. He will say he will not pick up weapons, but he might not hesitate picking up weapons. Right? He'll go back on his word. But Arjuna is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya don't go back on their word. So he tells Arjuna, you go and declare to the whole world so that atheists, devotees, everybody, all classes of people believe that Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. I will never let my devotees perish, even if they make mistakes. Right? So this is a very, very hope-giving section of Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita for all the sadhakas as well. Because sometimes we make mistakes in our spiritual life. These mistakes seem very, very haunting to us. We ourselves feel disgusted with mistakes. And they seem like the end of the road for us at times. This is the end of our spiritual life. There is no coming back from this fall down. There is no coming back from this mistake. Even if I continue after this, how can Krishna ever accept me? How will I ever be able to overcome this tendency, this deep rooted tendency that I have for a particular mistake, the samskar that I have for a particular anartha? How will I ever be able to overcome this and reach my goal of attaining the lotus feet of the Lord? Right? So, these are some of the emotions that we might go through. But Krishna is revealing to us through the shloka and through these pastimes, like Bharat Maharaj's pastime, that mistakes do not disqualify us from pure devotional service. Right? They are not a disqualification, but along with the mistakes, if we do not give up our sadhana, if we do not give up our Krishna consciousness, these mistakes actually become a stepping stone for us to go closer to the Lord, to become even more intensified in our relationship with the Lord. Right? So to err is human. That is like the theme of all our lives as a sadhaka, as a conditioned soul. But on one hand, we should not use these mistakes as a justification that, okay, I'm a conditioned soul, I'm bound to do like this. That is also a problem. But at the same time, Krishna is repeatedly giving us hope. Srimad Bhagavatam is a book of mistakes, devotees who have committed mistakes and then still attained perfection. Starting with Parikshit Maharaj. Whole Bhagavatam starts there. He made a small mistake of putting a dead snake on a sadhu, but he overcame that and attained perfection. Then uh, we see Indra. Indra makes so many mistakes. Then Durvasa Muni, he made a mistake to Amarish Maharaj. And Chitraketu Maharaj made a mistake of jokingly insulting Lord Shiva. Actually, he didn't insult, but it was perceived that way. But Chitraketu Maharaj fell down, and it was a serious fall down, not even a deer. It was the body of a demon, right? Ajamila fell down. So many devotees like this, we see they fall down, but then they recover and they attain perfection in their life. And Bhagavatam gives us so many examples of journeys of such, although they are elevated devotees, it gives us their journey so that we can seek inspiration as well. But very important lesson in all of this is how can we learn the art of seeing all these obstacles and fall downs, but still not losing hope in our devotional service, right? In the worst phases of our spiritual life, how can we not give up our sadhana? How can we continue serving the Lord with hope and with a smile on our face, right? And that is where to learn that, we can remember this acronym SMILE, SMILE. And next probably 15 minutes or so, I'll take to just describe this acronym, because if we see every devotee, every sadhaka who has been performing devotional service for the past 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, if somebody is in devotional service, obviously they would have seen a lot of ups and downs in their life. And if they're continuing to remain absorbed in Krishna consciousness, despite all those personal ups and downs and all of that, that means they're, then we, from their life, we can learn these lessons, which I've tried to put in this acronym SMILE, smile, right? So here, S stands for spiritually inspired. The first mantra, or the first aspect that we need to remember every time we are going through a reversal, we are going through a fall down in spiritual life is, if we are spiritually inspired, then external disturbances don't affect us so much. It's very important for us to be constantly reconnected with the why, have a strong personal sadhana, right? And when we are very fixed in our sadhana, then we realize that any service that's given to us, any seva or responsibility that we're doing, it's not a burden, but it's a privilege. We start relishing it. We look at seva as the practical application of the theory that we are studying in the Shastras, right? And Srila Prabhupada, whenever temple presidents and devotees used to write to Prabhupada in the early times that, Prabhupada, I'm doing this management service, I'm feeling this reversal, this devotee is not listening to me, this is happening, I'm very disturbed. Prabhupada would write this common instruction to all such cases. He would say that when we go to the dentist will make us sit down and he'll pluck our teeth. But if he plucks our teeth directly like that, we will almost die in pain. So what he does, first he'll give anesthesia. And then once the effect of anesthesia kicks in, he will talk to us about how we are doing, what we ate, and all of that. And in that conversation, he will pluck out our teeth and will not realize anything. Right? Prabhupada says that anesthesia is our sadhana, our personal sadhana, our absorption in Krishna consciousness is the anesthesia to the problems that we face in the material world, either in devotee sangha or in the temple or in the outside world, in family, in workplace, anywhere, any problems we face. For that, those problems, absorption is Krishna consciousness. Absorption in Krishna consciousness is the anesthesia. If the anesthesia is not strong enough and we directly encounter the problem, that problem will tear us apart. But if we are strongly fixed, our anesthesia is strong, then we won't even realize it. It will just happen. It'll go through, but it won't deeply impact us as such. We won't feel that same level of pain if we are strongly absorbed in our Krishna consciousness. Right. Another analogy that Prabhupada used to say: when we are deep in the ocean, the disturbance of the waves on the top, they don't disturb us, right? On the top of the ocean, the waves are huge and very chaotic, very very bad, the cave waves on the top, right? Very wild. But as we go deeper into the ocean, it's very calm, very peaceful, very serene, no movement of the water at all. Similarly, the deeper we go into Krishna consciousness, the less disturbed we will be to all the changes that are happening around us externally. Somebody is humiliating us, somebody is praising us, glorifying us, somebody is putting us down, somebody is noticing, giving us visibility for our services, somebody is not chastising, whatever it is. Those things will not affect us too much if we are spiritually inspired, right? But without having a strong personal sadhana, it's like in the in the flights, they say that when the mask comes down, before you help others put the mask for yourself, right? That's the same principle, that without us having a strong personal sadhana, if we go out in this endeavor of trying to save the world, trying to be protectors for other jivas, that won't work, right? So the first principle that we need to remember in this smile acronym is S stands for we should be spiritually inspired. Then we can ensure that whenever there's a reversal or downfall, our bhakti does not stop because it's not affecting us that much. Then the next letter is M. M stands for mission focused, right? We know that our movement, the Sankirtan mission, Srila Prabhupada's movement, ISKCON, is a missionary movement. It's very different from other Hindu movements, right? Other Hindu philosophies or Hindu thought process. This is very missionary in nature, like some of the more recent religions like Islam or Christianity, some of these Abrahamic religions, right? uh, Sankirtan movement is very, very missionary in nature. And as devotees in the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, in following ISKCON, It is very important that we remain mission focused, not just focused on our personal sadhana, but focused on taking this mission forward as well, contributing towards this mission, taking responsibility. Srila Prabhupada said that the sign of spiritual advancement is to take responsibility, right? But the problem with taking service is we are suffering a lot in this material world, right? We go through so many tribulations, and we come to the temple, we come to the spiritual world with a mood that, okay, this is an escape from all my material problems, right? But when we come into the spiritual life and we associate with devotees, slowly over a period of time, we are grateful for everything that we received, and out of gratitude we start taking responsibility of services, and along with those responsibility, anxiety comes. All the difficulties, anxieties, reversals, all of those will come along with the responsibility that we are taking. And that is why we are so scared. That is why devotees are so scared, because they have the exact same flavor of this in the material life as well, right? So there's a joke, right? Once there was this person who visited a mental hospital. So he went to this mental hospital just to see how the patients are, and he saw all kinds of mad people there in that hospital. Then he goes to a room and he sees that there's a person, a man sitting in the corner, dark corner, with his hands in his knees, and is loudly shouting and crying, Lela, Lela, loudly shouting. So this man called the caretaker and asked, this madman is shouting, Leila, Leila, who is this Leila? Right? So that caretaker said, Leila was the girl that he had loved, but Leila did not love him back. She left him, she abandoned him, and she went and married somebody else. So in separation from that girl, with a lot of love for her, he is shouting Leila, Leila. So this man thought, oh, so sad. He had a love failure. He faced this reversal in life. So sad. And that has completely destroyed his life. So thinking like this, he went ahead. Then in the next room, he saw another man sitting there crying, Lala, Lala, very loudly, shouting, crying, yelling in pain. Then he called the caretaker again and he asked, Arey, that man was crying, Layla, Layla. Okay, she left him, he was crying. Why is this fellow crying, Layla, Layla? So the caretaker said, this is the person that Layla ended up marrying. And after marrying him, now he's shouting, he's gone mad and he's shouting, Layla, just get rid of me, go away from me, right? So whether it's for Prabhujis or Matajis, we see this scenario, right? Whether we get into it or material life or we don't get into it, there are so many problems that we are just waiting to run away from, right? And in that situation, we don't like taking responsibility. There was one new Grahastha couple during Prabhupada's time. Prabhupada had a thought, desire that I should make this Prabhu as the temple president. So he shared this with a few devotees, that I'm going to call this Prabhu and make him a temple president. Those devotees, they went to the Prabhuji and they warned him that Sri Prabhupada is going to call you and he's going to make you the temple president. Temple presidents have so much responsibility, so many problems. In those times, even now for that matter, the job description of temple president is anything wrong that happens in the temple is the responsibility of the temple president, right? So it was very scary. That's how it was looked upon. So the devotees went and they told him, Prabhupada is calling you, he wants to make you temple president, you be careful. So all the while this Prabhu was going to Prabhupada, he was thinking all the different excuses he will give to not become temple president. Then he went to Prabhupada and he saw Prabhupada offered obeisance and he asked Prabhupada, how can I serve you? Prabhupada said, okay, how's your Grahastha life going? This Prabhuji said, Prabhupada, by your mercy, you got us married and Grahastha life is going very nice. My wife is very supportive. My Krishna consciousness is growing. Then Prabhupada said, very nice, very happy to hear. Now you take sannyas. And this Prabhuji was shocked. It was like, sannyas, I never imagined this. I can't take sannyas. Prabhupada, what are you saying? This is not possible. And then he started crying so much. Then the Prabhu said, Prabhupada, I cannot go against your orders, but I beg you this one time, anything you ask me to do, I will do, but don't ask me to take sannyas, please. Then Prabhupada said, fine, become a temple president. And then this Prabhu said, yes, Prabhupada, I will do it. I'll become temple president. Thank you so much for giving me the seva. And he went away. Right? So Prabhupada knew expertly as a guru how to entrust responsibility. Right? But the underlying fact remains that we run away from seva, we run away from responsibilities because along with it comes anxiety, right? But we see that anybody who's connected with Krishna has anxiety by default, right? Devotional life or life of Krishna consciousness is not at all a peaceful life. Vrindavan was a very calm place before Krishna came in. As soon as Krishna came, Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasur, Dhenukasur, all of them came, all the demons came, right? And disturbed. But the Vrajavasis, they rejoiced that, they relished that. Gopas would wantedly get into trouble, trying to see how Krishna will come save them, right? The gopis, we would think that gopis suffered so much in their life, so much separation they had. So, Krishna left them and abandoned them and went away. Gopis would have suffered so much, right? Actually, it is mentioned the Suprabhatam, Venkateshwara Suprabhatam, it has four parts. Total, so Suprabhatam is of 29 shlokas. Then there is Stotram of 11 verses. Suprabhatam is waking up the Lord. Please wake up, O Lord. Then Stotram is once the Lord wakes up, we glorify the Lord in 11 shlokas. Then there is Prapatti, a devotee expressing surrender to the Lord. That is 16 shlokas. And finally, Mangala Sasanam, 14 shlokas, where the devotee asks for well-being of the Lord, of the devotees, and of all living entities, living and non-living entities in all material and spiritual world. So this is how 60 shlokas of Suprabhatam are divided. So in the second section of the Suprabhatam, in the Stotram, in the fifth shloka, it is mentioned कलवेणुरवावशगोपवधुशतकोटिवृतं स्मरकोटिसमं प्रतिवल्लविकाभिमतात् सुखदात् वसुदेवसुतं न परं कलये. So it is mentioned, Kala Venurava. Kala means the lower note of his Venu. When Krishna goes to the forest and plays his flute, Vasha Gopavadu completely captures, conquers the gopis to an extent where they leave everything and run towards him. And uh, Shatakoti Vritam Smarakoti Samam. And there are crores of unlimited gopis surrounding him. And Krishna standing there in the middle, more beautiful than crores of cupids put together. And they're all having loving exchanges with the Lord. Right? Now, to such caretaker of the gopis of Vrindavan, this Krishna, he's constantly giving happiness to the gopis of Vrindavan throughout their life, throughout for eternity. And there's a special quality of this happiness that Krishna is giving to them. Prati Vallavi Kavi Matad Sukadat. He's giving sukha, extreme joy. But the special nature of the sukha is it is personalized sukha to every gopi. It is not generic understanding of sukha to all gopis. Every gopi in whatever rasa, whatever mood, whatever way, whatever aspect that gopi wants to reciprocate with the Lord in a particular time and circumstance, Krishna is giving complete fulfillment to that gopi and complete enjoyment to that gopi in that rasa, in that mood, right, in that taste. So that's and the gopis are constantly experiencing this even in separation from Krishna. That is why that separation is called Vipralamba Bhav. In that separation, their love is intensifying even more. And Vasudeva Sutam na param kalaye. I refuse to accept any superior authority than that Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, right? Which means devotees relish that anxiety in spiritual life also, right? This anxiety in spiritual life is not the same anxiety in spiritual life that people run away from. Here, people walk towards it, they embrace it. During the whole Chuhu episode, when Prabhupada was anxious and he was keeping his hand on his head in Mumbai, and Giriraj Maharaj asked him, if this is giving you so much anxiety, you're telling the whole world chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Why don't you just give it up? That is when Prabhupada said, if we don't take anxiety for Krishna, then we'll take anxiety for Maya. Right? So this is extremely important for us to be mission focused. Uh, I'll just end this one acronym with one shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam in the 8th canto, when Lord Shiva drinks that halahal wish during the Samudra Manthan pastime. There, uh, Sukadeva Goswami, he says, Tapyante lokatapena sadhavo prayashojana paramaradhanam taddi purushasya kilatmanaha. He says, Tapyante lokatapena. Tapyante means tapasya, taking austerity. But here it is translated as, uh, Prabhupada translates as voluntary austerity. If a sadhavo prayasho jana, if a sadhu, for the sake of other jivas suffering in this material world, voluntarily undertakes austerities, miseries, anxieties, and all of that, then param aradhanam tadhi, that is the highest form of worship to purushasya akilatmanaha, to the supreme personality of Godhead. Out of all forms of worship that a jiva can perform to the Supreme Lord, accepting anxieties and miseries and reversals purely for with the pure intent and for the sake of spiritual upliftment of other jivas who are suffering in the world. When a devotee does that, when a sadhaka does that, that is the highest form of worship as per Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So when we are mission focused, when we are focused in taking this movement forward, not just receiving from the moment, but contributing back in whatever way we can. We might not be the Hanuman of Ram Sena, Ram's army, but even as a squirrel, as a small bird, as a sparrow, if you're contributing with in whatever capacity we can, then this contribution can help us protect us from fall down in spiritual life, right? When Kurma Brahman in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South India Yatra, Kurma Brahman told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'll come with you, I'll renounce everything, I'll come with you. Mahaprabhu said, you stay where you are, chant Hare Krishna, Yare Deko, Tare Kaho Krishna Upadesh. You follow my instruction of chanting Hare Krishna and spreading the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to anybody you see. And Mahaprabhu promises him, by doing just this, I assure you that you will experience my association all the time and you will never fall down in your spiritual life. Right? So this is a very important instruction for all of us that we should be mission focused. And in the next 5 minutes, I'll cover the remaining three acronyms in the interest of time. So SMS, spiritually inspired, M, mission focused, I stands for intelligent. A sadhaka should always be intelligent because this is how Krishna's mercy works, right? Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya. If you surrender unto me, no matter what you have done, I'll take all your karma away. I'll take all your suffering. I'll deliver you, right? Which means Krishna's kripa is greater than our karma. Krishna's mercy is far beyond, more powerful than our karma, can completely nullify our karma. But the important aspect here is Krishna forgives our karma, but he still does not trust us so much that he removes us from the karma cycle altogether. That does not happen right away. And how we can understand this is if we give money, somebody comes to us and says, I need money, please give me money. And they seem desperate, and we give them the money. But by evening, they just go use that money to drink alcohol and they come back drunk. Then next day morning, they might say sorry, and we might forgive that person also. Fine, this is how you are, I'll forgive you. But we will not entrust the key to our Godrej locker with that person. Okay, here's my safe, here's all the life saving I have, you please take this carefully. We'll never do that, right? We might forgive the person, but we'll never trust the person. Devaki and Vasudev, when Kamsa realized that the daughter that Devaki and Vasudev had was his worshipable Devi, Subhadra. So then, when Kamsa realized this, he started taking care of Devaki and Vasudeva very nicely. He fell at their feet. He asked forgiveness from them. Devaki and Vasudeva forgave Kamsa, but they did not trust Kamsa with the information of their eighth child, Krishna. Right? That Krishna is in Gokul, Vrindavan, in Nanda Maharaj's house. They did not reveal that information because they forgave him, but they did not trust him. This is a very important aspect for us to understand about Krishna's mercy also. Forgiveness is of the past, trust is of the future. Krishna will, out of Kripa, will forgive us of all our past deeds when we surrender to Him, but He does not remove us from the karma cycle. We are still accountable for our actions. Every action we make, we will still face reaction for that. We still have that free will. That is why Bharat Maharaj, although in the stage of Bhava, made a mistake and he went through the reaction for that. Although that was orchestrated by the Supreme Lord, but he still got that reaction because Krishna did not take him out from the karma cycle altogether. And Maya operated perfectly. If Maya had come to Bharat Maharaj as a beautiful woman or as wealth, children, whatever, Bharat Maharaj had renounced all of that. Maya will not come that way, right? It's like a devotee is following four regulative principles. Maya will not lure that devotee with alcohol, with cigarette, with women and or men and all of that, because Maya knows that this devotee has given up all of that. A person who does not even drink tea and coffee is not going to get lured by alcohol, right? She knows that. That is why here what Maya did. Oh, Bharat Maharaj, your tendency of being a Kshatriya is still there. Your tendency to protect others is still there. Fine, here's a deer, protect. And with that tendency of protection, Maya led to the downfall of like external downfall of Bharat Maharaj, right? So this is how Maya works. That is why constantly, no matter what stage we are, we need to have intelligence. We need to be accountable for our actions because Krishna has forgiven us, but Krishna has not yet trusted us to remove that free will or to Krishna never removes our free will, but to remove us from the cycle of karma. Krishna doesn't do that yet. That is why we need to sharpen our intelligence. And how does that happen? How can we be careful with every action that we perform? In the 16th chapter, 24th verse, Krishna says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karyam Akaryam Vyavastitau Yatva Shastra Vidana Uktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. Says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. From the Praman, based on the Shastras like Bhagavad Gita, Karyam Akaryam Vyavastitau. We should know what to do, what not to do. And Yatva Shastra Vidana knowing the injunctions of the scriptures, Karma Kartum Iharhasi. We should perform our duties, right? So this is very important, intelligence, right? Otherwise, if our intelligence is not sharp, our mind is going to take us for a ride and we'll fall down and we'll not be able to sustain that fall down and continue sadhana despite the fall down. Finally, L, the next acronym is L. L is for listen. We need somebody in our life, some devotee who is well-wisher of our spiritual life, who will listen to us, who has a strong emotional bond with us. This is not just association, right? Listen is not just listening Harikatha, but listening to us when we rant, when we undergo reversal and spiritually inspired, mission focused, intelligent, all of that doesn't help us to continue our sadhana. We need a devotee who will listen to us, who will listen to us express our anarthas. If not a devotee, at least to the deities, we should go and express our weaknesses, our anarthas, right? So that that has to go out, right? And we see this in the material life also, but in the spiritual life, it is extremely important. Generally, in spiritual life, we think that, oh, this person is transcendental, he's a sannyasi, he's a senior Vaishnava practicing so many years, he's transcended everything, he doesn't need, he doesn't have any weakness. But everybody in this body have needs, psychological needs, right? And we need devotees to listen to us when we go through reversals, right? And only then that only when we have such strong loving reciprocation, dadati pratigranati guhyam akyati prachati, we share our secrets and we hear secrets from other Vaishnavas and don't broadcast it everywhere, but keep it in our heart and help the Vaishnava in whatever way we can. When we have this loving reciprocation, then we can tolerate the negative effects of Kali as well, right? And that is why loving devotee association is very, very important. Finally, E. E stands for equipoised. When none of these things work, when S, M, I, L, all of these things fail, and even then we undergo a reversal, we are not able to come out of it. That is when we need to understand that we should be equipoised. Just like Gajendra, he was caught off guard. He was not caught on the land. Crocodile caught him in the water in a foreign place completely when he was not expecting. Right? Yudhishthir Maharaj, when he performed Rajasya Yajna at the peak of his power, then he had a reversal in life in that Jyuta Sabha. He played that game of dice and he fell down. Right? When we are at our peak, when we don't expect anything at all, and when everything else fails, when we are undergoing a reversal, that's when we need to learn, like how Gajendra, Yudhishthira Maharaj, they continued their relationship with Krishna. That's how we can learn to be equipoised and continue our relationship with the Lord, right? So this is how, if we learn this principle of smile, then even through reversals and fall downs in life, we can ensure our bhakti continues, right? And I'll just end with this one realization by Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj. When Maharaj again is a very exalted Vaishnava, I oftentimes, when I feel lack of inspiration in my own Krishna consciousness, I go back to YouTube and I see that video that Maharaj uploaded, that 20-minute video that he uploaded just a couple of days before he gave up his body in Vrindavan. That's a beautiful video which gives a lot of faith and a lot of hope to us in our life as well. But Kadamakanan Maharaj, when he was Vrindavan, he was the temple president. There was some local disturbance with rowdies, with the gundas there. And when Maharaj was taking bath, they came from behind in the bathroom. Few devotees, internal devotees had only helped, unfortunately. But they came and they shot Maharaj. And Maharaj got the wound. He fell down, collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital. Finally, he was saved, right? But then while being in the hospital, Maharaj was contemplating. And after that, somebody else became the temple president, and Maharaj did not have any service in Vrindavan. And Maharaj thought, while being in the hospital, I lost my service, or I lost my residence in Vrindavan. I lost all the books that I had. I lost years of notes that I had written while hearing Harikatha. I lost everything. Everything is gone. That is when then Maharaj realized, Kadamakanan Maharaj realized, and he shares this very beautifully, that a point will come in all our life when everything will be taken away from us. Our books, our japa bead bag, our seva, our responsibilities, our positions, all of that will be taken. But something will still be there with us, right? So that is love for Krishna. That will still be there with us. The books might be taken away with us, but the realizations that we got from those books, that will still remain with us, right? Uh, the beads will be taken away from us when we give up this body. But the love for Krishna's holy name, the taste for Krishna's holy name that we were able to accumulate in this life, that will come with us, right? The services will be taken away from us, but the humility, the qualities, Vaishnava qualities that we were able to develop while serving in the association of devotees, those will come with us. The possessions will be taken away from us, but the attitude we develop, those will come, right? So in this way, these are like the intangible, eternal benedictions that we are accumulating, that will come with us life after life, and we should be more focused on these things than the externals itself, right? And if we are focused this way, then we can sustain our spiritual life. Okay, so it's 7:33. Extremely sorry for going over time. I'll stop here. Thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity and for tolerating me blabbering so long, and for all the offenses that I've committed in the course of executing this service and generally as well. I sincerely beg forgiveness from all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shankapani Prabhu. Thank you very much for the wonderful session. Especially as you mentioned, like this seems to be a very known incident from Bhagavatam. But there are so many things we can learn, as we read deeper and as we hear from great Bhagavat like you. So thank you very much for sharing on this chapter. So if there is anybody is having any questions or comments, I think Anuttama Mataji is having something to share. Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Wonderful.
Shankapani Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Wonderful
Dandavat Pranam.
class. Many, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Many lessons to learn. First, when you started the session, after that you told learning from Bharat Maharaj, we also get so many attachment things or like fall downs in middle or some work comes, so it impacts our sadhana. Like deer came, dear baby came, so he got attached to that thing. Similar things happen to us whenever our relatives are here, or like we are in some engagements. We'll first leave, I'll feel from my part, we'll first leave the reading, because chanting will do,
Yeah,
hearing and reading will impact a lot. So that was really a lesson for us. So from, if we'll connect with Bharat Maharaj, we will get to know, okay, what mistake we are doing. So thank you for
yeah,
that, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, one question. Yes, I we always say like we should be in the association of devotees, because that really impact us, and we'll be always guided. Like Bharat Maharaj was not having any association, and he started taking his own decisions. Okay, and saving it, like you told. No, this is also good. Mother Earth is very humble. So we try to like tell us, but sometimes with a similar your story part only you are telling, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told to Kurma Brahman, like, you stay here only. So means it is like telling him from the association of the supreme, and he is now staying there. So after that, what, like, still they started to preach, or like they were alone doing? Like many times we hear such stories, like that person stay here, or devotees from among us only, they go and start living separately, and they do their sadhana and all. They are not engaged with devotees, or they take initiation, but after that they just go out of the, like their own place. They will, like, we want to settle down there or something. So how it is, Prabhuji, how we should take this,
yeah,
so it is
yeah,
correct or
Mataji.
not?
No,
Yes,
very
Prabhuji.
beautiful question. I'll try to address it. I say briefly. We'll see how briefly it ends up being, but I'll try to be very crisp. In this instruction, when Mahaprabhu says to Kurma Brahman, stay where you are and preach, don't come with me. He's not saying don't associate with devotees. Devotees are still there wherever he was. He was Kurma Brahman in the Kurma village, worshipping a Kurma deity, and he was preaching there in that village as well. So he said, you continue meeting sadhakas and preach to them, but you don't have to come with me, right? And that will protect you. And that is true as well. If somebody is in direct association with the Lord, they might fall down. But if somebody is in the association of devotees of the Lord, there is no chance they can fall down. And the example for this in Mahaprabhu's South India Yatra itself is Kala Krishnadas. Now, Kala Krishnadas was Mahaprabhu's secretary, personal servant. He was the only person who came with Mahaprabhu in the South India Yatra. Nityananda Prabhu begged, Mahaprabhu didn't listen. So many others, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya and many others begged Mahaprabhu, please take us. Mahaprabhu didn't listen. Okay, then Nityananda Prabhu finally said, you need somebody to carry gamcha, to carry your pot. You're a sannyasi, somebody to carry that for you. Then Mahaprabhu said, this Kala Krishnadas you send, I'll take him. So Kala Krishna Das was only with the association of Mahaprabhu and nobody else. For 6 years of that South India Yatra, he was walking with Mahaprabhu. Everywhere Mahaprabhu went, he was seeing the miracles Mahaprabhu was performing, all the association that Mahaprabhu was giving to everybody, miracles he was performing. Then when they reached Kerala, then Kala Krishna Das got carried away and he got lured by Bhattahari Naris, these ritualistic tribal ladies, prostitutes of sorts. They took him, they performed tantric rituals, they shaved his hair and all of that, his shika and everything, and then they got him to do all sorts of sense gratification. Mahaprabhu personally went finding him, caught him, held him, and pulled him back. And he scolded him. He chastised him. How foolish person you are! You got carried away like this. He chastised him. He brought him back in Kerala. Then he goes to Maharashtra and all of that. Krishna Karnamrit copy and all that he gets in uh, Vittal, Pandharpur, and all of that he goes. Then finally, when he goes back to Jagannath Puri, he goes to Nityanand Prabhu, he goes to Sarvam Bhattacharya and all of them, and he tells them, this Kala Krishna Das, I'm rejecting him, I'm renouncing him. I don't want to see his face. You know what he did? He was with me. All the devotees who take little bit association from me, they get so benefited. He had the fortune of being with me all the time, but he went away with Bhattahari Naris and he did sense gratification, broke all regulative principles. Such a fallen soul he is. I reject him. I don't want to see his face ever in my life. You do see what you have to do with him. Then he gave it to the devotees. Now Kala Krishna Das was very sad. What do I do? Then the devotees had a meeting. Nityanand Prabhu, Sarvam Bhattacharya, all of these great Vaishnavas in Puri, they had a meeting. And finally, in that meeting they discussed, what do? We can't give up this sad soul, so sad. We can't give him up, but Mahaprabhu will not accept him in Puri. What do we do? Then they got a plan. They realized that people in Navadvip are uh, thirsty to hear about Mahaprabhu, hear about a South India Yatra. And the advantage with Kala Krishna Das is he is the only person in the entire planet who has witnessed these pastimes. So if he goes to Navadvip and there he speaks about these pastimes to everybody, by speaking about Mahaprabhu, he will get purified. By hearing from him, others will also get benefited, and their thirst for hearing about Mahaprabhu will get quenched. So they sent him to Navadvip instead. He went to Navadvip. A huge pandal was set. Elevated devotees like Advaita Acharya, Sachimata, Mahaprabhu's mother, all of them, elevated devotees like that, they sat down and they heard from this person who had fallen down, Kala Krishnadas, right? Which only shows us that even if we are direct association with the Lord, we might commit offense and fall down. But if you are with the devotees, they will find some way to engage us in Krishna's service. And that is where it is very important for us to remain in association. And like you mentioned, right, when devotees come, we deprioritize some of the services like reading and all of that, right? It's very, very important for us to stay mission focused. Martin Luther King, he gave this quote. He says that in our life, if we don't find a purpose that is worth dying for, then our life is not worth living for, right? So finding that purpose of life is crucial, and then we can direct all our energy, all our resources, all our time towards that purpose. Uh, Sorry, I'll just end with this one thing. In the Aranya Kand of Ramayana, there are two jivas who give up their life very close to each other in space, time also, and in the place also. In the same place, they give up their life. One was Jatayu, one was Maricha. But Jatayu gave up his life for Lord Ram. Marich gave up his life for Ravan. Right? That was the only difference. But both served their master so nicely that they gave up their life while serving their master. But what did they get in return? Jatayu got the love of Lord Ram. Lord Ram came searching for him. He shot an arrow down and got Mother Ganga to appear, and he gave that water, quenched the thirst of Jatayu. He kept Jatayu on his lap. He, promised Jatayu that now you're closing your eyes, but when you open your eyes, you will be in the spiritual world, in my abode. Then personally, with his own hands, he did the Antim Samskar for Jatayu. For the birds, it's not even needed, but he did that. Even Dasharath Maharaj did not get that uh, benediction of getting Antim Samskar through his own hands, which Jatayu got, right? Lord Ram was in a lot of pain. He was anxious. He was looking out for Mother Sita, but he kept all of that on the side and he cared for Jatayu, for his devotee. What did Ravan do? Marisha gave up his life. Ravan picked up Mother Sita, went away from there. Do we know even one instance where Ravan turned back and saw, where is Marich? Where is my loyal servant who came for me and gave up his life? What is he doing? Does he need something? Is he even alive or dead? Or even after going to Lanka, did he ever spare a thought for Marich? No. So we should be very, very careful. The time, the energy, the love, everything that we are investing in people and things in this material world, what are we directing it towards? Are we giving all of it towards people or things who can simply never reciprocate with us that way, right? Like people like me, fallen. I spend so much time working, right, for offices, for my clients, bosses, and all of that. But we should realize that these people can never, if we waste our human form of life simply slogging for them, that is not going to give us anything in return. Just like how Marich got. Intelligent devotees will serve the Supreme Lord instead, and that is the greatest benediction. Right. So sorry for going on a long winding answer, but the answer, short answer is, Mataji, that Mahaprabhu told Kurma Brahman, you stay here and serve. And by being mission focused and in the association, he never got deviated. I don't know if that helps, Mataji.
Yes, 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 Prabhuji. It was
Yeah.
very